Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there's lots to negotiate about. So obviously you saw my 3 videos that I did yesterday. Obviously I kept you up to date of what's been going on with Jadon Sancho. I also kept you up to date of what's been going on with Harry Kane. Like I mentioned to you yesterday, I'm very sceptical that Manchester United will sign Harry Kane when the transfer window does reopen. Maybe we could get Harry Kane in the future, but I just don't see us getting him for the foreseeable future. And I also give you obviously the news on Son Niguez, because he's also been on Manchester United's agenda, because we are possibly seeing him as an adequate replacement for Pogba. But there again, Paul Pogba now could be staying at the football club. Reports were emerging out about that last week. It was stemming from the La Liga expert. He believes that Paul Pogba will sign a new long-term contract at Man United and he'll become the club's new leader. I also earlier on this week give you the latest news on Jude Bellingham, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer come out and said that if Bellingham is to come to Man United, he will get straight into the first team squad. Straight into the first team squad. And yesterday I also give you the latest news, didn't I, on James Maddison and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. So there has been so many players on Manchester United's agenda. But I may reiterate, some of the stuff I mentioned yesterday a bit later on this video. So on this video, I'm going to be talking with you a bit about Bruno Fernandes. Of how, I think he can, get Manchester United being good and competitive again. And also going to go through with you, I think, the players that have improved at Manchester United under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. And also going to go through with you the players that have been disappointing under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. So we'll start with Bruno Fernandes. So I think, Bruno Fernandes, can get Manchester United being good again. I've credited Bruno Fernandes so much because I think Bruno Fernandes has enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Bruno Fernandes has got 3 goals and I think 4 assists so far. Don't forget, we paid 65 million, was it, for Bruno Fernandes, with add-ons included. So he is actually, one of our most expensive signings. I think Fernandes is like our 3rd or 4th most expensive signing. Don't forget, Bruno Fernandes has got a 5.5-year deal at the football club. But I think, so far he's, replicating at Manchester United what he did in his 2.5 years at Sporting Lisbon. Reflecting on Bruno Fernandes' good performances, don't forget he won Premier League Player of the Month for February. But he's very instrumental. His decision making is very good. And I've got to say, Bruno Fernandes is making the difference in the team, or has been making the difference in the team. We just what we need to do with Bruno Fernandes, we just need to keep him in his predominant position. Keep him in that advanced role, because if we were to put him as a central midfielder or a holding midfielder, that's when Bruno Fernandes could become a liability. But I think anyway we'll keep him in his predominant position. Now don't forget, Bruno Fernandes has been talking a lot recently. He was talking about the other week what convinced him to sign for Manchester United. He actually revealed what convinced him to sign for Man United, and it was reflecting on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's attitude. So Bruno Fernandes has got a lot of faith in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think, Bruno Fernandes, can emulate into next Paul Scholes. I really do believe that. But, we're basically, looking for someone that can partner up alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. I think the best midfield partnership I can recall as having, was Scholes and Michael Carrick, under Alex Ferguson. But he really has made a difference in the team as Bruno Fernandes, and I've got to make an admission. I think he's the best player we have recruited in since the Alex Ferguson era, or one of the best players we have recruited in since the Alex Ferguson era. And analysing it, we have recruited over 30 players in since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, under Moyes, we got Ram Matter and Marian Fellaini. Moyes only recruited 2 players in. Fellaini's no longer here now. Fellaini did enjoy 6 years at Manchester United. We paid just over £27 million for him under Moyes, but Fellaini's no longer here now. He's at China. He joined them back in January 2019. Juan Mata, of course, is still here, and my perception on Juan Mata is that, I think he's a good backup, Juan Mata. He doesn't get in the team lot now, Juan Mata, and he has lost that yard of pace. But when he still plays, he does tend to make an impact, to be fair. Juan Mata's now into his 6th season at the club, so he has been a long-serving player. Obviously, under Louis van Gaal, I think we must have brought around a good 14, 15 players in under the Louis van Gaal era. Van Gaal, of course, brought the likes of Memphis Depay in, who enjoyed a very, very difficult time at the club. He also brought Sebastian Schweinsteiger in, Morgan Schneiderlin, Di Maria. He also brought Daley Blind in. Obviously, he brought Rojo in. Rojo's out on loan now at the moment. I think we'll be getting rid of him on a permanent transfer. He also brought Luke Shaw in, who's still here. He brought Martial in, who's still here. Did Louis van Gaal. Louis van Gaal brought, quite a lot of players in. Who else he brought? Falcao in. That's another one he brought in. But the vast majority of the players, that Louis van Gaal brought in have obviously now left Manchester United anyway. They've obviously now left Manchester United anyway. So there's the players, that Louis van Gaal brought in. Don't forget he also brought Ander Herrera in. He left Manchester United last summer. And obviously, under the Jose Mourinho era, we brought a hell of a lot of players in. And analysing the vast majority of this Manchester United team, it is Jose Mourinho's. Yeah, but Jose Mourinho, I think, recommended like 11 players in, of course. Obviously, Jose Mourinho brought, Alexis Sanchez in. He's obviously out on loan now at Inter Milan. Obviously, there has been reports saying that Sanchez could be coming back to Manchester United because he said the other week he was refusing to take a pay cut. No team can afford his wages, like I mentioned. So it says Sanchez will be seeing his contract out with Man United until 2022. He also brought Mkhitaryan in, don't forget. He went to Arsenal as part of a swap deal of us getting Sanchez 2 years ago. He also brought Zlatan Ibrahimovic in, did Jose Mourinho. He also obviously brought Fred in. He brought Matic in. He brought Lindelof in. He brought Eric Bailly in. He brought Lee Grant in. He brought Diego Dalot in. He brought Romelu Lukaku in. Did you know Jose Mourinho? So like I mentioned, a lot of these players are Jose Mourinho's. And maybe there's a few others I haven't currently mentioned. But I think Bruno Fernandes is better than all them players that we have recruited in the last 6 or 7 years or so. The vast majority of the players that we had under Fergie have now left the football club. Yeah. I think we've only got Phil Jones and De Gea now left from the Alex Ferguson era. But obviously, revert back to the David Moyes era. We still had a lot of players at that time. From the Alex Ferguson era. But I've got to say, Bruno Fernandes is the best player we've had. Since the Alex Ferguson era, without a shadow of a doubt. But Bruno Fernandes still isn't enough for us, to win the league. He isn't enough for us to win the league, or maybe challenge for the league, because like I've mentioned to you, I do believe that Manchester United do need more signings. I think, we need around 4 signings when the transfer window does reopen to become title contenders next season. I think Solskjaer is planning, to make around 4 signings when the transfer window does reopen. I like what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recently said, because he insists that we will exploit the transfer market when it does reopen. And he believes we can get the right calibre players in, because a lot of teams are under financial pressure due to this coronavirus pandemic. And obviously, a lot of teams across the world are going to have to sell quite a few of their players to generate money and stuff like that. I think we have really, really improved in the transfer market under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What I mean is, I think we have been a bit more sensible with our recruitment. Obviously, Solskjaer's enjoyed 3 transfer windows at the football club at the moment, and he spent £220 million on 5 players. Last summer we got James, Bissaka and Harry Maguire. And, of course, January we got Bruno Fernandes, and, of course, we got Odin Igalo in on loan. So he has made 4 permanent signings. It remains unknown yet, whether we're going to get Odin Igalo on a permanent transfer. But it will cost us around £15 million to get Odin Igalo on a permanent transfer. But I don't know if we're going to get him on a permanent transfer, to be quite honest with you. I think Odion Ighalo wants to stay at the club, and recent reports did say that for Odion Ighalo to remain at Man United, he's got to take a pay cut of around £200,000 a week. We are paying like a third of his wages at the moment. Don't forget, quite a few weeks ago now, Shanghai Shenhua, his parent club, they came out and offered him £400,000 a week, plus a 2-year contract extension to convince him to turn down a permanent move to Man United. But I've got to say, Odion Ighalo's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Man United career. 4 goals, I think, in 3 starts for the club. I think he's a very, very good cover up to Marcus Rashford. But maybe what's delaying us getting him permanently was obviously, of our links to the likes of Haaland, Kane, obviously Aubameyang, he's been another striker on our agenda. We've been in for Timo Werner in recent weeks. I'm very sceptical that Manchester United will sign Timo Werner. But yeah, and Solskjaer, of course, has been at Manchester United now for around 16 months. So he has been at the football club over a year. And I can almost assure that Solskjaer will be given another season at Manchester United, because it is a transition period. And it's been a transition period for Man United for a while. And like I revealed at the beginning of the year, he's hopeful that we can get through this transition period. But I think there's a total of like 14 players on our agenda, who we could go in for when the transfer window does reopen. But as you all know, Solskjaer's already identified the areas where he wants to strengthen up. He said he wants a centre forward, he wants a right winger, and we're also in search for a holding midfielder. There's still some reports saying, possibly, we could get a centre half in. But, we will see what happens. I think a lot of people like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy, because he still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United like he did do last summer. And a lot of British players are on our agenda, because 3 of the 5 players he recruited in last summer, of course, are British. So let's get on now, to the players that I think have improved under the Solskjaer era. So I think the players that have improved under the Solskjaer era, I think definitely, Marcus Rashford's improved under the Solskjaer era. Like I mentioned, I thought Rashford was one of our best players earlier on in the season before he got injured. Of course, Marcus Rashford has been out of a back injury for quite some time. He's been out of this back injury since that game against Wolves in the FA Cup, and like I mentioned, Solskjaer made the wrong decision by playing Rashford in that game against Wolves, because if he hadn't played him, then his injury wouldn't have occurred, more than likely. But Rashford, I think, has got like 19 goals in 31 games this season. But up until this point, Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with the club. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. And since then, he's become an integral part of the team. Don't get him wrong, he's enjoyed some very difficult spells as a Man United player. We never really got the best out of Rashford under Jose Mourinho, to be quite honest. But under Solskjaer, a lot of aspects of his game have really, really improved. Rashford can play as a number 9, he can play out wide. But I think Solskjaer actually prefers Marcus Rashford out wide. There's been positivity coming out regarding Rashford. Also to Paul Pogba, because it says when the season does resume, they will be back fully fit, so they will be back in action. Like I mentioned on my video yesterday night, Rashford and Paul Pogba have been big misses for us throughout the course of this season. So Rashford's one player that's improved. I've also got to make an admission and say that Anthony Martial has really, really improved under Solskjaer's guidance. And again, he was another player that enjoyed a very, very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era. But there again, Mourinho had bad disputes with the top players, didn't they? And I think if Mourinho would have still been here, then possibly Martial wouldn't have been here now. Possibly Luke Shaw wouldn't have been here now. I can say Paul Pogba wouldn't have been here now either, because Pogba also had bad disputes with Jose Mourinho. But I think Martial has really, really improved. Like I said, all we need to do with Martial is find him a permanent position. In his 4 previous seasons, he's been playing out wide on the left, because that's Martial's predominant position. But as you all know, this season we've been playing Anthony Martial in that number 9 role. Yes, we have. And he's sustained quite a few injuries this season as Anthony Martial, so you can say that's had a bad effect on him. Martial is now into his 5th season at the football club. We paid £36 million from Monaco. I think potentially rising up to 57 or 58 million based on goals and achievements. But he has been a long-serving player, and I think he's got over 60-odd goals in just over 200-odd appearances, around 16 or 17 goals this season. think one of the best seasons Martial enjoyed was under the Louis van Gaal era. That was one of the best seasons he enjoyed at the club. Anthony Martial, very, very good. And we did get Anthony Martial as a 19-year-old. But yeah, he's really, really improved. Yeah, I think also too Luke Shaw's really, really improved. Because he has received criticism in the past as Luke Shaw. Obviously, reflecting on his poor run of form in the past and his in record of injuries. Because let's be honest, he is injury prone. Is Luke Shaw? He was injured earlier on this season for like 2 months, but I've got to say, since he's come back, he has done really, really well. He showed good attacking intent. He's made good overlapping runs as Luke Shaw, and he is highly experienced. He's now into his 6th season at Manchester United. Didn't we pay around £30 million for him from Southampton, if I'm right? So yeah, he has really, really improved. I've also got to say as well that Bay's done really, really well since he's come back. Eric Bay's done really, really well since he's come back, and he's actually been here since the Mourinho era. He was Jose Mourinho's first signing, was Bay, because we paid £30 million for him from Villarreal, and Bay is now into his 4th season at the football club. I think, my only element of concern about Bay is that he's very, very injury prone. That's my only element of concern. He's one of our backup centre-halves at the moment, but some people say he's a bit too good, to be a backup, is Bay, but he's reflecting on his injuries, isn't it? But he's really, really improved as Eric Bay. So I think we should actually, keep Bay. Lindelof, I've been also very, very impressed with him. He's improved a lot. Again, got him under the Mourinho era, paid £30 million in from Benfica. He really, really struggled for that consistency in his first season, did Lindelof. But I think I think last season, this season, he's really, really improved. So I'll give, Victor Lindelof a lot of credit. I've also got to say, I think, Fred, he's done really, really well as well. He's really improved as Fred. But, Fred's been given his opportunities under the Solskjaer era. Revert back to the Jose Mourinho era, Fred never really got his opportunities. To be quite honest with you. But I thought also too, Fred was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. An absolute exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. And we paid £50 million for Fred. But yeah, a lot of aspects of his game have really, really improved. Matic, I've also been, very, very impressed with him. He's really improved under Solskjaer. Again, we paid £40 million for Matic. He's now into his 3rd season at the football club, is Matic. He's made over 100 appearances for Man United. Don't forget the other week we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, reflecting on his good run of performances. And I've criticised Matic in the past because I've said, haven't I, he's very, very slow. But I do really, really think that he has improved. So I think he's going to be at Manchester United at least for the next season or two, is Matic. I've also got to say as well, I think Scott McTominay's done very, very well this season. He's enjoyed a very, very good season as McTominay. Don't forget, McTominay was injured earlier on in the season, but again, has really, really improved for Man United. Also, too, the signings, that Solskjaer's brought in have also, done really, really well. I think Daniel James has done well. If Man United are to get a winner in the transfer when the transfer window opens, is Daniel James then going to find game time very difficult? For my own perception, I think we've overplayed Daniel James this season. We have played him in a hell of a lot of games this season. I think he's played over 30-odd games this season. But he's done really, really well because when we got him from Swansea, I expected him to get game time, but I didn't expect him to play as many games to the extent as he has done. I didn't expect him to be as good as he has been, so I give him a lot of credit. James can play on the left wing, he can play on the right wing. You tend to see the best of him on the left wing, but there's some aspects of his game that need to improve. Maybe his tracking back needs to improve and his crossing, but I think prior to that, nothing much more really needs to improve. I think Bissaka's done very, very well as well. Regarded as one of the best right-backs in the Premier League. Like I said with Wan-Bissaka, maybe he needs to show a bit more attacking intent. And before the football season got suspended, he did show some attacking intent, but I think he's better defensively. His defensive contributions also always been very, very good. Don't forget we paid 45 million, was it, for Wan-Bissaka, if I'm right. Harry Maguire, I think, he's also done very, very well for us. Best centre-half we've got is Harry Maguire, without a shadow of a doubt. We paid £80 million for him last summer from Leicester. So you can say we overpaid for Harry Maguire, let's be honest. but he's done really, really well because he has addressed our defensive deficiencies, and I think the club made the right decision by giving him the captaincy on a permanent basis. We're giving the captaincy reflecting on Ashley Young's departure and that. So he's also, done very, very well. He's also done very, very well. And I've got to say, Brandon Williams, I think, he's enjoyed a very, very good season. He's obviously our left back. I think Luke Shaw does remain our first choice left back at the moment because Luke Shaw's more experienced, but Brandon Williams has done well. He's still inexperienced though at the moment. He's Brandon Williams because this is his first season in the senior squad. I've got to give Mason Greenwood a lot of credit because he's really, really improved. This is his first full season in the senior squad. Mason Greenwood made his full debut for the club in the 2-0 defeat to Cardiff at the end of last season. Mason Greenwood. And I think it's on like 12 or is it 13 goals in all competitions this season, Greenwood. He seldom started in the Premier League. Started a couple of times in the Premier League, but he started like more in the cup games. Greenwood can play as a number 9 and he can also play on the right. But I think in next year he will, emulate to Rashford's level. Probably will end up overtaking Marcus Rashford, to be quite honest with you. So yes, I think also too Juan Mata's really, really improved under Solskjaer. It's another player I think's improved. Still going strong is Juan Mata. Still going very, very strong. I think, when he does eventually leave Man United, Juan Mata, maybe he could return back to Spain because he spent the entirety of his career in Spain when he was a lot younger. Don't forget, played for Valencia under Unai Emery's guidance, began his career with Real Madrid and that. So I think he'll go back to Spain when he does eventually leave Manchester United. So yeah, a lot of players have improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. But I think, the players that have been disappointing, and I think the players that are likely to leave Man United when the transfer window reopens, I've got to say Lingard and Andres Pereira, they've been two disappointments for Man United. Lingard's found game time very, very difficult since the arrival of Bruno Fernandes. Also, too, Pereira's found game time difficult since McTominay's come back. Pereira's appearances now will probably come from the substitutes bench. I said, didn't I, before, reflecting on Lingard's status and reflects on the number of years he's been at Manchester United, he should be putting much more better performances out, so Jesse Lingard. And like I said, it's over a year now since he registered 1 goal or 1 assist in the Premier League. So that just indicates how bad Jesse Lingard is. And I think Lingard's got exactly a year remaining on his Manchester United contract. Don't forget, recently Arsenal have been in for him. Also, too, Everton have been in for the player. Everton have got quite a few players on their agenda. But I think we value Jesse Lingard at around £30 million. He's performed well against the big teams in the past as Jesse Lingard, but I just think he's too inconsistent. Not good enough for Manchester United. Andres Pereira, he only became a regular anyway last season. He's had some good games as a Manchester United player, but I don't think he's good enough for the football club. So yeah, they've been two disappointments. Chong, my perception on Chong is that we know now he's staying at Manchester United, but I don't know if he's good enough for Manchester United. Chong, I don't think he's at that level as yet, and it's going to take him time to emulate that level. So I think, what Man United should have really done is he's loaned Chong out. To be quite honest with you, he's totally comparison to Mason Greenwood and Williams. He's nowhere near as good as Greenwood or Williams. I've got to also say as well, I think that Phil Jones, he's been a big disappointment for Man United. Phil Jones obviously doesn't even get in the team now anyway. You've got Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof that are our first choice centre halves. You've got Bay and Tuanzebe that are our backups. You've got Bay and Tuanzebe that are our backups. So Jones ain't going to get in the team. Jones has been here since the Alex Ferguson era, so now Jones is into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. So I think he's one player, that we'll get rid of, and don't forget, we can cash in for the player. Now, De Gea, I think he's been a disappointment. He's not a bad goalkeeper. He's still regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world overall. But he's been disappointing under Solskjaer, I think. He has been disappointing. And I think he's been a liability, at least for the last year and a half or so, as David De Gea. And you've got David De Gea now that's into his 9th season at Manchester United. Obviously, he's enjoyed 8 seasons here. But analysing it, I think David De Gea's had a good 6.5 years out of the 8 years he's been here. Because De Gea's won everything here domestically. He's won the club's Player of the Year 4 times out of the last 6 years. something like that, reflecting on his good run of performances, and has made nearly 400 appearances for the club in all competitions. Now, we paid 17 million for De Gea, I think, from Atletico back in 2011. And obviously, I don't think we'll sell him when the transfer window reopens, but if we was to sell him, I still think we could get maybe 60 or 70 million pounds. We could definitely generate a lot more money, than what we paid for David De Gea. Don't forget last year he signed a new long-term contract with the club back in September. And he's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world and the highest paid at the club because he's on 375 grand a week, is David De Gea. But he's been subject to transfer speculation in the past. Revert back 5 years ago, Real Madrid were very, very close to getting De Gea. But due to a fax machine, I think on deadline day, the deal never materialised. But if De Gea were to leave Man United, I think he'd go back to Spain because that's obviously where he began his career. PSG and Juventus have also been in for David De Gea before. But he's not the best in the world at this present time. I'd probably say one of the best in the world at this present time is Allenson. But overall, I would still say David De Gea. So I've got to say, he's been a big disappointment. But there hasn't been many players, that have been disappointing under the Solskjaer era. So that just shows, how much we've improved recently in that under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Let's be honest about that. But yeah, so that's really it. And like I said, I hope that Manchester United can sign Jadon Sancho when the transfer window does reopen. Maybe now we won't sign Jadon Sancho because, like he updated you yesterday, it says that Borussia Dortmund are willing to offer him a new contract with around £4 million per season, which equates to, is it around 167 grand a week or something like that, or in that range. So could this, convince Sancho to remain loyal to Borussia Dortmund? And he's remained loyal to them for a few years now. This is his third season with Borussia Dortmund. Now, if he was to, to accept this wage increase, Sancho, it would make him the second highest paid player at Borussia Dortmund, just behind Marco Reus, because Marco Reus is Borussia Dortmund's highest paid player, don't forget. It also revealed last year that Borussia Dortmund wanted Mason Greenwood as part of a swap deal of selling Jadon Sancho, but obviously, we've got no intentions of doing any business with Mason Greenwood. I think us signing Sancho, is probably dependent on, whether we can get the Champions League or not. He says if we wasn't to get Champions League, then Sancho would reject a move to Old Trafford. But, we'll see what happens, Jadon Sancho is our number one priority target. One of our number one, I think he's our number one priority target, should I say. But yeah, like I mentioned, we also had a lot of good news last week because, it's confirmed that Ed Woodward is no longer involved in our recruitment process. This is very, very good news that he's no longer involved in our recruitment process. Because obviously, we've been very, very critical of Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward's been at the football club since 2012, so he has been here 8 years now. And obviously, he's been criticised, reflecting on how poor our recruitment has been. Obviously, with us overpaying for players, like I said, 75 for Lukaku, 89 million for Pogba, 40 for Fred, 50 for Fred, 40 for Matic, 80 million for Harry Maguire, so we have overpaid for our players. And he's also been criticised for his poor selection of managers because we have sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Ed Woodward has got no intentions of getting a director of football in because Sir Alex Ferguson's behind his thinking and that. So he's got no intentions of doing this as Ed Woodward. But we haven't only been critical of Ed Woodward, like I mentioned. The club have been doubting, the club's ownership, the Glazers. The Glazers, I think, have taken over £1 billion out of the football club, to be quite honest with you. The Glazers, like I mentioned, have been here since, 2005? So they've been here a good, 15, 16 years now, to be quite honest with you. So, yeah. But, like I said about Solskjaer, deserves more time at Manchester United and that. And I've already, given you some of the positives from his tenure so far. I've also given you some of the negatives. The positives are the players that he has recruited in so far. He's also got rid of a lot of the deadwood. He's promoted the youth very, very well because, the young players have been given their opportunities this season, which is very, very good to see. But when Solskjaer first came in anywhere, he did say, that everybody would get their opportunities, to express themselves, which is good. before the football season got suspended, we was in a good vein of form because, we are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions, and Solskjaer is under pressure to keep this good run of form up when the season does resume. And also, too, our record this season against the elite opposition's been very, very good. His approach to the big games have been good because we've registered like 17 points against the big six sides this season. That's something else that's improved under Solskjaer. We've done well against the big six sides. We weren't so good against the big six sides, were we, last season? But yeah, that's a positive as well. And he showed a lot of tactical flexibility as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And, we haven't won out yet in terms of silverware under Solskjaer, but we can win the Europa League. We're into our last eight. We can win the FA Cup. We are into the quarterfinals. And as it stands at the moment, we are sitting 5th in the Premier League, and that. But the negatives, like I've said, we haven't been so good against lower opposition. There's games that we've drawn and lost this season, that we shouldn't have drawn or lost. So that's a huge disappointment. Since Solskjaer got the job permanently, let's be honest, his record has been disastrous. Because towards the back end of last season, he lost five of his last 9 league games. But, there again, Solskjaer's record was disastrous at Cardiff. And that's the main explanation why he got sacked from Cardiff. But Solskjaer only enjoyed a very, very short tenure with Cardiff. He only managed around 29 games. But the main explanation why he got sacked from Cardiff is reflecting, on Cardiff, getting relegated. But he did well at Mould, because he did win a couple of Norwegian titles at Mould. So there is negatives you can take, and we've enjoyed some bad results under the Solskjaer era. But like I've said, we have been playing catch-up for the last 6 or 7 years. We've had different managers with different philosophies. Nearly £1 billion has been spent at the football club. So, man, we reflect on the money we've spent. People say we should be where Liverpool are, but always spending big. Yeah, and getting them Glasgow players doesn't always guarantee you success. You've got to play as a unit, and you've got to play as a team. That's what Liverpool have been doing throughout the course of this season, let's be honest. But, I don't think Solskjaer will replicate Ferguson's legacy, but I don't think any manager will replicate Alex Ferguson's legacy in that. But I just think, Solskjaer does deserve more time. You can see what he's trying to implement at the club. He's trying to change the culture and that of the club, and he's trying to get the right calibre players in that can get us back, to where we want to be in that. But, next season, our expectations, will be much higher, than the ones this season. Because I said at the start of this season, our expectations would have been to finish in that top 4 to get qualification for the Champions League. Because we know at the moment we're not good enough to win the league or challenge for the league. So let's just put that into the equation. That. But yeah, so that's everything to update you today, guys. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. And I'll be on with more transfer news very, very soon.